Hi, this is Jürgen from Polymash. Let's continue our series on podcast content syndication as a method for podcast and web growth. Today we'll explore how social media marketing is contributing to the entire syndication process. And this includes publishing not only to your own channels, but we especially focus on reaching new channels outside of your current networks as well. So let's get started. First, a quick recap of last week's episode on how the content syndication process works over time and the importance of timing in it. We, on day one, publish to your primary website, but then trickle out publishing to more and more websites over the next 3 weeks. And that's something that we covered in the last episode. So if you hadn't seen that, go back and check it out. Because that's really what is driving the process of earning site rank and getting signals that show up on Google. And then we add to that the social media strategy, and social ranking signals will also contribute to the visibility of your podcast, not just in terms of traffic, but also in terms of site rank. That's what we covered in the last week's episode. So today, what we want to focus on is social media and the content syndication platform that we use. And we will go into some details about that in upcoming episodes. But that platform connects to all major social networks for our clients. And we distribute and share the SEO optimized show notes articles through that platform. And to clarify, our social media promo programs don't include interacting on our clients' behalf on social media platforms, meaning we don't follow, we don't reply, we don't engage with our client channels. We publish and syndicate content for them, but the engagement and the follow-through is up to them. However, that said, engaging with an audience is super important. It's just that we don't do this as part of our programs, which in this first season, we're kind of explaining how we as a podcast production and marketing agency are approaching this for our clients in the hopes that you will find that useful. That said, we're not sort of a VA shop where we are managing social media and following people and subscribing and responding to events that happen on the social channels. That's up to our clients to manage, but we highly encourage people to be as active as possible. It's just that we don't do it on people's behalf. Let's look at some of the platforms. For most clients, we find that Twitter is a valuable content platform, especially for the initial podcast show notes distribution. It has a much greater frequency tolerance for posting than Facebook, for example, or LinkedIn, where you would not constantly want to share the same piece of content, even if it is in different formats. And the other thing that's important about Twitter is that it supports hashtags like Instagram, which make content visible to people outside of your immediate contacts, who may be following those hashtags and then get to see your content, even though they're not followers of yours. And that's a fundamental difference between how Instagram works, and that's why people put so many hashtags in their Instagram posts. And the same is true for Twitter. And we use actually some AI-based hashtag research tools to identify the top trending tags associated with each piece of content, so that each episode gets its own research into what is the best hashtag to use on either Twitter or on Instagram. But it's important to do that research because that's what makes those platforms special. And for our premium programs, where we actually do post variations, that's the concept of mixing and matching different images and different messaging in different variations, and that allows us to publish more frequently on a platform like Twitter, for example, because within 7-day time frame, Twitter doesn't allow duplicate posts. So you have to do something to make each post different, and our premium programs basically cycle through a combination of 5 different images and 5 different messages, and that results in 25 different variations that we can schedule and roll out over a timeline, a much longer timeline. So sometimes that's up to a half a year. This whole post variation thing is another separate future topic for an episode because it's really interesting. the effectiveness and what best platform to use through the first and initial social media push depends a lot on where our clients are most active and have the largest following. So some clients have a large following Instagram, and so of course we would publish there or maybe even focus on that. Others have largest followings on Facebook pages or inside public or private Facebook groups, and so we would focus on publishing there. LinkedIn is another quite effective platform, and we can schedule timeline posts as well as posts that get added to the LinkedIn company page. Now, we only publish to the LinkedIn company page one time, because when people go there and they look at the content that you as a company have produced, you don't want repetition. But on your LinkedIn profile pages, they act very much like a Twitter feed, and it's okay to repeatedly post there. And we recommend doing that, and we do that for our clients. All the major platforms are usually something that you would want to include in the initial push. But that said, all these approaches are limited. And the way that they're limited is they're limited to the size of your existing audiences. And the question that we really focus on and that we ask is, how can you reach new audiences outside of the people that you already follow? And that is why we augment our social programs with influencer marketing. And I'll explain that in a minute. But here's a screenshot of a 1-month campaign. The way that this works is that we've partnered with some networks that basically will consider your content for promotion and consideration. So there's an approval process. But if it is accepted into the influencer network, what happens is there are other people with large followings promoting your episode, your content. And so this can easily boost your social presence with tens of thousands of social media shares and hundreds of resulting clicks. This case study illustrates that it's only 4 episodes in a single month, and these 4 episodes were shared 2,500 times, and that resulted in over 500 clicks and visits to the website. So this can be a very powerful construct. And the important thing is that it extends your network, and we very carefully select which influencer niches we go after. In this example, for example, there were women in business and women's fashion. There was one podcast guest that was in the food services, so we promoted that through the food and beverage industry. Another one was entrepreneur and startup stories. So this can be a very effective methodology to reach outside of your own network. The whole purpose of a program like that is, imagine the traffic that you could build if influencers with large followings in your niche were to frequently share your content. And the way it works is we submit it for consideration. And the last thing that I would say is that this only works with longer form show notes. In other words, this is why we only offer this to our SEO optimized show notes clients, because that's when we create long form show notes that look like authority long articles of content. A 300-word article or a 300-word brief show note is not going to get accepted in most influencer networks. So it has to be something substantial that they are proud of distributing on their behalf, because they're sort of speaking on your behalf in this case. But the concept is that, okay, you're reaching beyond only the followers that you have. Once influencers are getting to share this, you just really extend the possibilities of your reach. And the end result, the cumulative effect of it is that your own audience then has a chance to grow. And of course, the social signals that are sent by all of this then also contribute to your site rank and your search presence, which is the whole reason that we do this first and foremost. I don't really prioritize the traffic increases that you get from it as much as I value the fact that, this helps site rank, search presence, and, has more of an evergreen effect than these shares that are really only limited to the week in which they're happening, or the week of your launch, or the week on which these promotions happen. That said, that the influencer networks, depending on how evergreen your content is, accept your posts for up to a year of circulating. And so that's another plus. So that's for some food for thought in terms of how social media and content syndication on social media can be very effective. Next time, in the next episode, we will explore the advantages of publishing to content hubs And content hubs are places that already have an audience, like Medium, for example, and other places and other networks that we publish to, and that also generate backlinks and promotions for your content. So that's up next. In the meantime, please find us on YouTube if you are watching this on video. We can be found under the Podcast Growth channel. Just Google that and you'll find it. You can also follow us on Twitter and find us on Facebook at Polymash, on Instagram Design under at Polymash Design. And of course, we would love it if you followed us on podcastingstrategy.com, which is our primary site for this podcast. Until next time, this is Jürgen signing off. I hope to see you then.